welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We have a really special story for you this evening. It is one that travels through time and across many lands. Tonight, we will learn all about the Grim Reaper. Now, before you worry, let me tell you that this is not a scary tale. It is a calm and gentle look at one of the most famous figures in all of human history. People have always wondered what happens when we die, and for thousands of years, they have made up stories about a guide who leads us from this world to the next. The Grim Reaper is just one name for this figure, but there are so many more names and so many more stories from all around the world. As you settle into your cozy bed tonight, you will journey through ancient Greece and Rome, through the dark times of the Middle Ages, and into the modern world. You will meet gods and angels, spirits and shadows, and all the while you will feel safe and warm and sleepy. This story was written with care and love. Every fact has been checked. Every piece of history has been found in books and old writings, so you can trust what you hear as you drift off to sleep. Before we begin our journey through time, let us take a few moments to settle your body and calm your mind. Make sure you are lying down in a way that feels good. Your pillow should cradle your head just right. Your blanket should feel soft against your skin. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel your chest rise. Feel your belly expand. Hold that breath for just a moment, and now let it out slowly through your mouth. As you breathe out, let go of any tension in your shoulders. Let them sink down into the mattress. Take another breath. This time, as you breathe in, think of all the good things that happened today. Even small things count. A warm cup of tea, a kind word from a friend, the feeling of sunshine on your face. And as you breathe out, let go of anything that bothered you. Those worries can wait until tomorrow. Right now, you have nothing to do but rest. Feel your body becoming heavy. Your arms are heavy. Your legs are heavy. Your eyelids are heavy too. You do not need to keep them open. Let them close if they want to. You can still hear my voice. You can still picture the scenes I describe, but you do not need to see anything with your eyes. Imagine yourself in a cozy library. The room is warm and dim. A fire crackles softly in the corner. The walls are lined with old books, their leather covers worn and soft. The smell of old paper fills the air. It is a comforting smell, a safe smell. You are curled up in a big, soft armchair. A thick blanket covers your lap, and on a small table beside you sits a cup of warm milk with honey. In this library, we will read from the great book of history. We will turn its pages slowly and carefully, and with each page, you will feel more and more relaxed, more and more sleepy. There is no rush. We have all the time in the world. Now, let us open the first chapter and begin our tale. Long, long ago, before there were big cities or tall buildings, people lived in small groups. They hunted animals and gathered plants to eat. Life was simple, but it was also hard. People did not live as long as we do today. Death was always nearby. These early people wondered about death. They saw their friends and family grow still and cold. They buried them in the earth with care. Archaeologists, the people who dig up old things, have found graves from over 40,000 years ago. These graves had flowers in them. They had small gifts and tools. This tells us that even then, people thought about what happens after we die. But the idea of a single guide to the afterlife, someone who takes your hand and leads you away, that came later. It came when people started telling stories. And oh, what wonderful stories they told. In ancient Mesopotamia, the land between two great rivers where Iraq is today, people believed in a dark underworld. They called it Kur or Urkala. It was ruled by a goddess named Erish Kegel. She sat on a throne of lapis lazuli, a beautiful blue stone. Her realm was not a happy place. It was dim and dusty. The dead ate clay and drank muddy water, but they were not alone. Spirits called Gala would come to fetch the dying. These Gala were some of the first death guides in human stories. The Sumerians wrote these stories on clay tablets over 4,000 years ago. We can still read them today. The tablets tell of Inanna, the goddess of love, who went down to the underworld. The Gala followed her, silent and watchful. They did not eat or drink. They did not feel joy or sorrow. Their only job was to bring souls to the land of the dead. Does that not sound a bit like our Grim Reaper? A figure with no feelings, a figure who comes for everyone in the end. The ancient people of Mesopotamia gave us one of the first pieces of this puzzle. Now we turn the page in our great book of history. The firelight flickers and the scene changes. We are in ancient Greece, a land of white marble temples and blue seas. The Greeks had many gods. They had Zeus, king of the sky. They had Athena, goddess of wisdom. And they had Thanatos, the god of death. Thanatos was not the ruler of the dead. That job belonged to Hades, who lived in a dark palace under the earth. No, Thanatos had a different role. He was the one who came to you at the moment of death. He was gentle and peaceful. The Greeks showed him as a young man with wings. Sometimes he carried a torch that pointed downward. Sometimes he held a butterfly or a wreath of poppies. The word Thanatos simply means death in Greek. Even today, doctors use words that come from his name. Euthanasia, for example, means a gentle death. The Greek poet Hesiod, who lived around 700 years before Jesus was born, wrote about Thanatos. He said that Thanatos had a brother named Hypnos. Hypnos was the god of sleep. The two brothers were said to live together in the underworld. Is it not lovely to think that death and sleep are brothers? That they are two sides of the same coin? In Greek art, Thanatos often appeared with his brother. They were shown as twins. You can see them painted on old vases and carved into stone. One famous image shows them carrying the body of a fallen hero named Sarpedon. They lift him gently. They treat him with respect. This was not a scary image of death. It was a kind one. The Greeks also believed in creatures called the Keraes. These were female spirits who appeared on battlefields. They were darker than Thanatos. They wore red robes stained with blood. They swooped down on dying soldiers and drank their blood before carrying their souls away. The Keraes were the violent side of death. They came for those who died in war or by accident. Thanatos came for those who died peacefully in their beds. But there was another figure in Greek stories, Charon, the ferryman. When you died in ancient Greece, your soul had to cross a river called the Styx. Charon waited on the shore with his boat. He was an old man with a long grey beard. His eyes were like burning coals. He would take you across the river, but only if you paid him. This is why Greeks put coins on the eyes or in the mouths of the dead. The coin was payment for the ferry ride. Charon did not kill anyone. He just moved souls from one place to another. But his image, the old man with the boat, would later blend with other death figures. Slowly, bit by bit, the picture we know today was being painted. The Romans loved Greek stories. They took them and made them their own. They gave the gods new names. Zeus became Jupiter, Athena became Minerva, and Thanatos, he became Mars, or sometimes Le. But the Romans also had a special job for Mercury. You might know Mercury as the messenger god. He wore winged sandals and a winged hat. He carried a staff with 2 snakes wrapped around it. Mercury was fast. He could travel between the world of the living and the world of the dead. The Romans gave Mercury an extra duty. He became a psychopomp. That is a fancy word that means a guide of souls. When someone died, Mercury would come to them. He would take their hand and lead them down to the underworld. This idea was very important. It meant that death was not just an ending, it was a journey. And on that journey, you would not be alone. The Roman poet Virgil wrote about this in a long poem called the Aeneid. In the poem, the hero Aeneas travels to the underworld to speak with his dead father. He sees Mercury guiding souls along the dark paths. The souls follow Mercury like sheep following a shepherd. They trust him to lead them safely. The Romans also had household gods called the Lares and Manes. The Manes were the spirits of dead family members. Romans believed these spirits could help or harm the living. They left food and wine at small shrines to keep the Manes happy. This shows us that death was a part of daily life in Rome. It was not something to fear or hide from. It was something to honor and respect. As you lie there in your cozy bed, picture yourself in ancient Rome. The sun is setting over red rooftops. Oil lamps are being lit in the windows. Somewhere, a family gathers around a small shrine. They pour a cup of wine for their ancestors. They speak their names softly. They remember those who came before. It is a gentle scene, a peaceful one. Let us turn another page. The fire in our library settles and glows. Now we come to the stories of the Jewish and Christian people. These stories would shape how millions of people think about death. In the Hebrew Bible, which Christians call the Old Testament, there are angels. Angels are messengers of God. They carry out His will, and sometimes that will include death. One of the most famous stories is the tale of Passover. Long ago, the Jewish people were slaves in Egypt. God sent 10 plagues to make the Pharaoh let them go. The last plague was the worst. The angel of death passed through Egypt. He took the life of every firstborn child. But the Jewish people had been told to mark their doors with lamb's blood. When the angel saw the blood, he passed over their homes. He did not harm them. This angel is sometimes called the destroyer or the angel of the Lord. In Hebrew, he is called Malach Hamavet, which means the angel of death. He is not named in the Bible. He is simply a force, a tool of God's will. He does not choose who lives and who dies. He only follows orders. In Jewish tradition, there are many stories about this angel. Some say he has 12 wings. Some say he is covered with eyes. The Talmud, a big book of Jewish law and wisdom, says that the angel of death appears differently to different people. To good people, he looks like a beautiful friend. To bad people, he looks like a monster. This idea is important. It tells us that how we see death depends on how we have lived. Christians also believe in angels of death. The book of Revelation, the last book of the Christian Bible, tells of 4 horsemen. They ride across the land bringing war, famine, sickness, and death. The 4th horseman is named Death. He rides a pale horse. He is followed by Hades, the grave. This image is powerful and scary. It would become one of the most famous pictures of death in all of history. But there is also Azrael. Azrael is mentioned in some Jewish and Islamic texts. He is sometimes called the angel of death. He is said to write down the names of the living when they are born, and to erase them when they die. He sits in a tower that reaches all the way to heaven. In his hands, he holds a scroll that goes on forever. Every name that has ever been is written there. Picture Azrael now. He sits alone in his tower. Light streams through windows of gold. He writes carefully, gently. He does not rush. He knows that every life is precious. Every story matters. When someone's time comes, he whispers their name, and they go peacefully, knowing they have been remembered. In Islam, there is also an angel of death. The Quran, the holy book of Muslims, mentions him but does not give his name. He is simply called Malak or Maut. Later stories and teachings call him Azrael, just as some Jewish texts do. Islamic teachers say that Azrael is one of the 4 greatest angels. The others are Gabriel, Michael, and Israfil. Each has a special job. Gabriel brings messages from God. Michael provides for people and nature. Israfil will blow the trumpet on Judgment Day, and Azrael takes souls when their time has come. There is a beautiful story about Azrael. When God created the first human, Adam, he sent angels to gather clay from the earth. But the earth cried out and asked to be left alone. 3 angels turned back because they felt sorry for the earth. But Azrael did his duty. He gathered the clay gently but firmly. Because of this, God gave him the job of taking souls. Azrael knew how to do hard things with care. Muslims believe that when you die, Azrael appears to you. He is kind to good souls. He speaks soft words and leads them to peace, but he is stern with those who have done wrong. This is not meant to scare people. It is meant to remind them to live good lives. In Islamic art, Azrael is sometimes shown with 4 faces and 4,000 wings. He is as big as the whole world. His body is covered with eyes and tongues. 1 tongue for every person who is alive. When an eye closes, someone has died. This image is strange and wonderful. It shows how big death is, how it touches every corner of the earth. But even with all his power, Azrael answers to God. He does not decide when anyone dies. He simply does what he is told. This is an important idea in many religions. Death is not random. It is part of a plan that we cannot always understand. Now we come to a very important part of our story. The firelight dims a little. The shadows grow longer. We are entering the Middle Ages. This was the time when the Grim Reaper, as we know him, was truly born. The Middle Ages lasted from about the year 500 to the year 1500. It was a time of castles and knights, of kings and peasants. It was also a time of great suffering. People did not understand why they got sick. They did not have the medicines we have today. Life was often short and hard. Then came the Black Death. This was a terrible sickness that spread across Europe in the years 1347 to 1351. It was caused by bacteria, tiny creatures too small to see. The bacteria spread through flea bites and coughing. People got fevers and black spots on their skin. Most who got sick died within days. Historians believe the Black Death killed between 75 and 200 million people. That was about half of all the people in Europe. Whole villages were wiped out. Bodies piled up in the streets. There were not enough living people to bury all the dead. It is no wonder that people became obsessed with death. It was everywhere. You could not escape it. Artists began painting images of death as a skeleton, a grinning skull, empty eye sockets staring at you. This was called memento mori, which is Latin for remember that you will die. These images were not meant to scare people. They were meant to remind them that life is short, that they should do good things while they still can. The skeleton made sense as a symbol of death. It is what remains after everything else is gone. It is what we all share, rich or poor, young or old. Under our skin, we all have bones. In death, we are all equal. This is when the Grim Reaper got his famous tool, the scythe. A scythe is a curved blade on a long handle. Farmers used it to cut wheat and hay, but it became a symbol of death for a reason. Death mows down the living just as a farmer mows down grain. We are all harvested in the end. The Bible had talked about this image long before. In the book of Revelation, there is a verse that says, "Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." The sickle and the scythe are similar tools. They both cut, they both harvest. The image was already there, waiting to be used. One of the strangest and most beautiful art forms to come out of the Middle Ages was called the Danse Macabre, or the Dance of Death. Picture this, a long line of people from all walks of life, a king in his crown, a pope in his robes, a merchant with his bags of gold, a peasant with his simple clothes, a child holding a toy, and dancing among them all is death, a skeleton holding out its bony hand. It invites each person to join the dance, and everyone must dance. No one can say no. Not the king with all his power, not the pope with all his prayers. Death comes for everyone. These images were painted on church walls and cemetery gates. They were printed in books. One of the most famous was made by an artist named Hans Holbein the Younger in the 1520s. His woodcut prints showed death coming for people while they went about their daily lives. A farmer ploughing his field, a lawyer reading his papers, a mother holding her baby. Death was always there, just behind them. The Dance of Death had a message. It said, "Do not be proud. Do not think you are better than others. Death does not care about your money or your titles. In the end, we all join the same dance. We all become bones." This was meant to be comforting in a way. If everyone dies, then death is not a punishment. It is just part of life. And if the rich and powerful must die too, then maybe death is even a bit fair. As you rest their eyes closed, you can imagine the dance. But instead of something scary, picture it as a slow waltz. The music is gentle. The skeleton's touch is light. It is not dragging anyone away. It is simply guiding them to the next part of their journey. A journey we will all take someday. So far, we have a skeleton holding a scythe. But what about the long black robe? What about the hood that hides the face in shadow? Where did those come from? The answer lies in the clothes of the time. In the Middle Ages, monks wore long robes with hoods. These robes were usually brown or black. The hood was called a cowl. Monks wore these clothes to show they had given up the riches of the world. They lived simple lives of prayer and work. But monks also dealt with death more than most people. They ran hospitals for the sick. They prayed over the dying. They buried the dead. When the Black Death came, monks were often the only ones brave enough to care for plague victims. Many monks died themselves. So the image of a hooded figure became connected with death. The long robe looked like burial clothes. The hood looked like a shroud. the cloth used to wrap dead bodies. Artists began drawing death in a monk's robe. It made sense. Death, like a monk, had turned away from the things of the living world. The black color of the robe was also important. Black is the color of night, the color of the unknown, the color we see when we close our eyes. It is not a mean color. It is a quiet color, a restful color. Think of a starless sky on a warm summer night. Think of velvet curtains closing at the end of a play. Black is the color of endings and of sleep. By the 1500s, the image was complete. A skeleton in a black hooded robe carrying a scythe. This is the Grim Reaper we know today. He appeared in paintings and sculptures, in plays and poems. He became one of the most recognized figures in all of Western art. The Grim Reaper is mostly a European idea, but every culture in the world has its own way of thinking about death. Let us take a trip around the globe and meet some of these other figures. Our cozy library has books from every corner of the earth. In Mexico, there is La Catrina. She is a skeleton woman dressed in fancy clothes. She wears a big hat with feathers and flowers. She smiles a friendly smile. La Catrina appears during the Day of the Dead, a holiday in early November when families remember those who have died. They build altars with photos and food. They visit cemeteries and have picnics beside the graves. Death in Mexico is not something to fear. It is something to celebrate. It is a reunion with loved ones who have gone before. La Catrina was created by an artist named José Guadalupe Posada in the early 1900s. He drew her to make fun of rich Mexican women who tried to look European. His drawing said, "You can dress up all you want, but in the end, we are all skeletons." Today, La Catrina is a beloved symbol of Mexican culture. In Hindu traditions from India, there is Yama. He is the god of death and the lord of the underworld. Yama has green skin and red clothes. He rides a buffalo. In his hand, he holds a noose to catch souls. But Yama is also the god of justice. He judges the dead and sends them to their next lives. Hindus believe in reincarnation, which means the soul is born again in a new body. Death is not the end, it is just a change. The oldest Hindu texts, called the Vedas, talk about Yama. They are over 3,000 years old. In those old stories, Yama was the first human to die. He found the path to the afterlife and became its king. He welcomes the dead like a host welcomes guests. He offers them food and drink. He makes them feel at home. In Japan, there are creatures called Shinigami. The word means death god or death spirit. Shinigami became popular in Japanese stories during the 1800s. They are said to be invisible beings that invite humans to die. Sometimes they make bargains with people. You have probably heard of Shinigami from modern stories like the manga Death Note, where a Shinigami drops a notebook in the human world. In ancient Egypt, there was Anubis. He had the body of a man and the head of a jackal, a wild dog. Anubis helped prepare bodies for burial. He weighed the hearts of the dead against a feather to see if they had lived good lives. Jackals were often seen near cemeteries in Egypt, which is probably why they became linked with death. In Norse mythology from Scandinavia, there were the Valkyries. These were women warriors who flew over battlefields, choosing which soldiers would die. They carried the brave dead to Valhalla, a great hall where heroes feasted with the gods. The Valkyries were not scary, they were an honor. To be chosen by a Valkyrie meant you had fought well. Every culture has found a way to make sense of death. They have given it a face and a name. They have told stories about it, and in doing so, they have made it a little less frightening. Writers have always loved the Grim Reaper. He appears in poems and plays, in novels and short stories. Sometimes he is scary, sometimes he is funny, sometimes he is kind. One of the most famous poems about death is by an English writer named John Donne. He lived in the 1600s. His poem is called "Death, Be Not Proud." In it, Donne talks to death as if it were a person. He says that death should not be proud or boast. He says that death is actually weak. After all, when we die, we just go to sleep. And from that sleep, we wake up in eternal life. Death itself will die in the end. It is a brave and hopeful poem. Another famous story is a fairy tale from Germany. It was collected by the Brothers Grimm in the 1800s. The tale is called Godfather Death. In it, a poor man has 13 children. When his 14th child is born, he cannot afford to care for it. He meets Death on the road and asks Death to be the baby's godfather. Death agrees. He helps the child grow up to be a rich and famous doctor. But the doctor tries to cheat Death, and Death takes him away. The story teaches that you cannot escape your fate. In the 1900s, many writers gave death a personality. In the book The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, death is the narrator. He tells the story of a young girl in Nazi Germany. This death is tired and sad. He has seen too much suffering. But he is also gentle. He notices beauty even in the darkest times. He says that humans are capable of both great cruelty and great kindness. Terry Pratchett, an English writer, wrote many books featuring a character called Death. In his Discworld stories, Death is tall and skeletal and speaks in capital letters. But he is also curious and sometimes confused by humans. He adopts a daughter. He tries to understand the meaning of life. He is funny and strange and lovable. Pratchett showed that even the scariest ideas can be approached with humor and warmth. Emily Dickinson, an American poet from the 1800s, wrote a famous poem that begins, "Because I could not stop for death. He kindly stopped for me." In this poem, Death is a gentleman caller. He picks up the speaker in a carriage. They take a slow ride through town, past schools and fields of grain. Death is patient and polite. He is not in a hurry. He gives the speaker time to say goodbye to life. These stories and poems show us different ways to think about death. They remind us that death does not have to be the enemy. It can be a guide, a friend, or even a teacher. Artists have painted the Grim Reaper for hundreds of years. Their pictures tell us a lot about how people felt about death at different times. During the Renaissance, a time of great art and learning in Europe, painters loved to include skulls in their pictures. These are called vanitas paintings. The word vanitas comes from a Latin phrase that means everything is vanity or everything is empty. The skulls reminded viewers that beauty fades, that wealth does not last, that we should focus on things that truly matter. One famous painting is The Ambassadors by Hans Holbein the Younger. It shows two rich men surrounded by expensive objects. But at the bottom of the painting, there is a strange, blurry shape. If you look at it from the side, you can see it is a skull. It is a hidden reminder of death in the middle of all that luxury. In the 1800s, romantic artists painted death in dramatic ways. They showed storms and shipwrecks and ghostly figures. Caspar David Friedrich, a German artist, painted many scenes of lonely people standing before vast landscapes. His paintings make you feel small. They remind you of how big the world is and how short our time in it can be. In the 20th century, artists continued to explore death. Arnold Böcklin painted Isle of the Dead in 1880. It shows a small boat approaching a rocky island. A figure in white stands in the boat. The island is covered with tall, dark cypress trees. The painting is quiet and mysterious. It has been copied many times and has appeared in movies and music. Today, the Grim Reaper appears everywhere in popular art. You see him on posters and album covers, in video games and comic books. Sometimes he is scary, sometimes he is a joke, but he is always recognizable. The skeleton in the black robe with the scythe is one of the most famous images in the world. When movies were invented, filmmakers quickly saw the power of the Grim Reaper. He appeared on screen almost from the beginning. One of the most famous films is The Seventh Seal by Ingmar Bergman. It was made in Sweden in 1957. In the movie, a knight returns home from the Crusades. He meets Death on a beach. Death is dressed in a black robe and has a pale white face. The knight challenges Death to a game of chess. If the knight wins, he will live. If he loses, Death will take him. The chess game lasts throughout the movie. The knight travels across a land hit by plague. He sees suffering and cruelty, but he also sees love and joy. In the end, Death wins the game, but the knight has found meaning in his journey. The movie asks big questions about life and faith. It is considered one of the greatest films ever made. In Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey from 1991, Death is played for laughs. Two friends challenge Death to a series of games. They beat him at Battleship and Clue and Twister. Death becomes their friend and helps them on their adventure. It is silly and fun. It shows that we can laugh at the things that scare us. The Final Destination movies from the 2000s feature an invisible death. You never see him on screen, but he is always there, arranging accidents to kill characters who escaped their fate. These movies are scary. They tap into our fear of random death, but they also have a message. Live your life well, because you never know when it will end. In animation, the Grim Reaper has become almost cuddly. In the cartoon The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, the Reaper loses a bet and becomes the servant of two children. He is grumpy and annoyed, but he is not evil. He is just doing his job. These different portrayals show how our feelings about death have changed over time. We still fear it. We still wonder about it. But we have also learned to joke about it, to question it, and to face it with courage. We have traveled far tonight. We have gone from ancient Mesopotamia to modern movie theaters. We have met gods and angels, skeletons and spirits. But why does any of this matter? Why have humans spent so much time thinking about death? The answer is simple. We think about death because we love life. We know our time here is limited. That makes every moment precious. The Grim Reaper is not our enemy. He is a reminder to make the most of what we have. When we see a skull in a painting, it tells us, do not waste your days on petty worries. When we read a poem about death, it tells us, tell the people you love that you love them. When we watch a movie about the Grim Reaper, it tells us, be brave, because everyone faces the same fate in the end. The Grim Reaper also reminds us that we are all equal, no matter how rich or poor we are, no matter what country we come from, no matter what God we pray to. We will all meet death someday. This can be a comforting thought. It connects us to everyone who has ever lived and everyone who ever will live. We are all part of the same human family. And here is something else to think about. In many of the stories we have heard tonight, death is not mean. He is not cruel. He is just doing a job. He takes people at their time. He guides them to whatever comes next. He may even feel sorry for us sometimes. In the book Thief, Death says he is haunted by humans. He cannot understand how we can be so terrible and so beautiful at the same time. Perhaps the Grim Reaper is not someone to fear at all. Perhaps he is more like a teacher. He teaches us that time is short, that we should be kind, that we should live well. And when our time comes, he will be there to take our hand. He will lead us gently into whatever mystery waits beyond. And so we come to the end of our story. The fire in our cozy library has burned low. The embers glow soft and orange. The shadows on the walls are friendly shadows. They keep us company as we rest. You have traveled far tonight. You have seen so many places and met so many figures. But now it is time to rest, to let all those images and ideas settle softly in your mind like snow falling on a quiet field. Your body is heavy and warm. Your blankets are soft around you. The pillow cradles your head just right. You do not need to think about anything now. You do not need to worry about anything. All you need to do is breathe in and out, slow and steady, like the rhythm of a train on its tracks, like the gentle rocking of a boat on calm water. The Grim Reaper is far away tonight. He is not coming for you. He has other places to be, other stories to be part of. You are safe here in your bed. You are young and healthy and full of life. Think of all the good things waiting for you tomorrow. A warm breakfast, a kind word from a friend, the feeling of sunshine on your face. There is so much beauty in the world, so much to see and do and feel, but not tonight. Tonight is for rest. Close your eyes if they are not closed already. Let your mind drift. Let your thoughts become like clouds floating across a summer sky. You can watch them pass without holding on to them. Each one fades away, leaving only peace behind. Imagine yourself in a beautiful garden. The air is warm and fragrant with flowers. Roses and lavender and jasmine bloom all around you. A gentle breeze stirs the leaves of old oak trees. Birds sing softly in the branches. Somewhere a fountain trickles. The sound of water is soothing. It washes away any last bits of worry or stress. In the middle of the garden is a soft green lawn. You lie down on the grass. It is cool and comfortable. You look up at the sky. It is a deep, deep blue, turning slowly to purple as the sun sets. Stars begin to appear one by one. Each star is a tiny light in the darkness. Each one has been shining for millions of years. You are part of something so big, so old, so wonderful. You are connected to all the people who came before you and all the people who will come after. You are part of the great story of life on earth, and tonight your chapter is a peaceful one, a chapter of rest and dreams. Let the garden fade away, let the stars fade away. Let everything fade into a soft, warm darkness. There is nothing to see here, nothing to hear. Only the gentle rhythm of your own breath, in and out, in and out. Sleep is coming now. You can feel it washing over you like a warm wave. It carries you gently. It rocks you softly. You are floating. You are drifting. You are safe. Good night, sweet dreams, and thank you for listening. I will be here whenever you need me, whenever you want to hear another story, whenever you need help finding your way to sleep. Until next time, this is Thomas wishing you the most peaceful and restful sleep. May your dreams be kind, may your rest be deep, and may you wake refreshed and ready for a brand new day. Good night.